pleasant. Did you play the intro? A pleasant afternoon to you, Guyana. It is Friday, October the 15th, 2021, and I wish to take this opportunity in welcoming you to yet another program of Facing the Nation. I am your host, Annette Ferguson, and I trust that this afternoon I will be discussing a number of issues that our country is currently faced with. But before doing so, I know that yesterday we had the announcements of both the CAPE and the CSEC results. And I want to say, on behalf of the leader of the opposition and my fellow MPs, we want to extend congratulations to all those students who would have excelled at this year's CAPE and CSEC examinations. Also, earlier this morning, we all knew that the National Grade 6 assessment results was also declared and announced. And based on the information that I have thus far reaching me just before I commenced the program, I was told that this year's top pupil hails from Success Elementary Primary School. So once again, to all those pupils who would have sat the National Grade 6 Assessment 2021, I want to wish you all the best. I want to also congratulate you. You may not have gotten, the top schools like whether President's College, Queen's College, Bishops, Saints, Roses, or St. Joseph High, but whichever school you got, we want to still congratulate you. It is not where you begin. It is not where you begin. It is not where you begin. So, again, on behalf of the leader of the opposition and my fellow colleagues, members of parliament, we want to wish you all the best, all the best. And, we must shout out, give high commendation to the parents. We know that through these challenging times, you would have put all your efforts in ensuring that whatever is required for your child's or your children's success, you would have sacrificed, you would have made the necessary sacrifices to ensure that your child excel. And to those molders, yes, the teachers, we know you sacrificed. We know you gave selflessly. We know you gave of service. So we also want to commend you for the efforts, that you would have put out to ensure that the curriculum or the syllabus or, whatever you had to do was actually delivered. So once again, congratulations. And we know that these exams weren't done in regular circumstances. We know that we are still battling with the global pandemic, that is the COVID. And we know that pupils, students, also the teachers, they really had to stagger, to ensure that, the curriculum or the syllabuses were taught, and also the children attended school on a regular basis. So once again, congratulations. Keep soaring like the eagle. Keep excelling, because we know that you are the future leaders. My brothers and sisters, I also want to let you know that COVID is still with us. COVID is real. And we, have seen how the government would have been handling the affairs of this entire pandemic. And, we always like to bring truth to form, because the first COVID case was discovered here in Guyana on the 11th of March 2020. And we know we were just out of an elections, though, there were many circumstances surrounding those results. But while the APNU AFC government was in office, we ensured that the necessary protocols, the necessary guidelines were put in place, because we know, Guyana being a small population, we have the interest of the lives of our people at heart. And in order for us to save the lives of our citizens, we as a government, we had to do what was required of us. But that being said, I also want to remind us that it was the David Granger administration that would have established the National Task Force. And during the establishment or the workings of that National Task Force, the opposition, they were encouraged, they were invited to come and be a part of this task force, because we would have seen from experiences what the developed countries were actually experiencing. Big America, India, where thousands or millions of people live, people were dying like flies. And we started to put systems in place. We asked that the opposition at that time join with us so that we can battle this COVID virus together. Because at the end of the day, no one man, no one individual, no one party, or no one set of group can actually tackle this runaway horse. So at that time, we know for a fact that the then government was being called out, that we were actually using COVID as a hoax to remain in government. But this was far from truth. This was far from truth. So what we were able to do is that we ensured that the disease center there at Lelendal was constructed, because we realized that you cannot blend the COVID patient with the primary healthcare facilities. So we had to ensure that those patients were actually isolated and placed in a facility all by themselves. But when we left office on August 2nd, 2020, it was 21 deaths, 474 cases. The then opposition said that they had a better plan in place, so they were actually running a parallel task force. So you're now in government, and we thought that the task force and the plan that you claim you had would have been, put to work. But it is not the reality. So what we're seeing as of today, 857 persons have died so far from COVID. So if you were to actually subtract the 21 from 857, you're talking about probably 836 deaths. 836 deaths from August 2nd, 2020 to now. And yet, we're to see a plan by the government to ensure that this pandemic is tackled with, efficiency and effectiveness, so as to ensure that the lives of our people are protected. So 857 deaths as of to date. And we have in excess of 34,132 cases in total. Yes, 34,132 cases in total. So, what do we see? No plan in place. Still, our people are not being properly sensitized or educated. But we have the vaccines being rolled out, and many persons are yet to be vaccinated. But when you actually do the groundwork and you interface with people, what is your reason or reasons for not taking the vaccines? And the people would say, I have underlying issues, but because of the failures of the administration to properly guide me, I do not want to put my life at risk. While we know that the vaccines are useful, they're helping us not to get too sick that would cause us to be hospitalized. We in the opposition believe that a better method or methodologies could have been worked out to have these vaccines properly rolled out. If you're to notice what is happening in sister CARICOM countries, the politicians are actually, whether led by their respective prime ministers, they're actually on the ground in the various constituencies, finding out from persons, why is it that they're hesitant about taking the vaccine. At the same time, they're educating them and they're encouraging them. But here in Guyana, we see the opposite. What is the opposite? The opposite is that you have the government imposing mandatory vaccines on its citizens without doing, the basic. Without doing the basic. So that is why we're having the pushback from the citizen. But you know what they will continue to do, as they have been doing? Their propaganda smear campaign is that we in the opposition have been conducting these whisper campaigns in our constituencies and saying to our constituents not to take the vaccine. No, we are a responsible opposition. And as responsible leaders, we are on record saying to our people, get vaccinated because of X, Y, Z. Boost your immune system because of X, Y, Z. Ensure you have a proper diet because of X, Y, Z. Exercise is useful because of X, Y, Z. Yes, we are on record saying this. But it is the PPP that we're dealing with. A group of people who cares less about the ordinary citizen in this country. A group of people who think that the way in which they can win over the hearts of people is by constantly lying to the people of this nation. But we're living in a more modern society. We're living in a technological world where information is easily accessible at the click of a button. anything you want to know, the worldwide web is out there that can inform you before any decision can be taken. So no longer are our citizens can be fooled. Because though some, are saying, persons are mentally retarded, persons are illiterate, and all manner of things, there's smart Guyanese out there. There's smart Guyanese out there. I have nieces and nephews below the age just of 15 or 16. And they will ask, sensible questions. And asking those sensible questions, they already know the answer, but they're testing to see what your responses would be like, whether based on what their findings are and what I have said is in sync with what they found. So, COVID is out of control. Take a walk downtown Georgetown, you will see exactly what is happening. Many persons are not wearing their mask. People are not social distancing. Much monitoring is not being done out there by health care workers. Yes, we know that the resources might be limited and you might be stretching your human resources beyond their capacities. But at the same time, a government must be able to sit with the technical people to get ideas, to get recommendations, to get suggestions, how we can tackle the spread. So because of the lack of information, persons cannot make informed and sensitive decisions because the system, the government has failed them. So the government needs to be called out with regards to their mismanagement of the COVID-19 virus. And we all are aware about the Sputnik V vaccine that we're yet to have answers for, that we're yet to get answers for from the Minister of Public Health. So that is why the opposition moved a no confidence motion against the minister, because we are of the belief that one, he's unfit to man the health sector here in Guyana, and two, he has failed to ensure that the lives of our citizens are protected. So I want to encourage each and every one of you out there that we have a civic responsibility, because no government will do it for you. But we have a civic responsibility to protect the lives of ourselves, our families, and loved ones. So I want to say to you that COVID is real. Please ensure that you mask up, You watch your distance and you sanitize your hands regularly. So that is it for COVID. The other issue I want to bring to the attention of you, the viewers, is to let you know that crime is on the increase. And I trust that, 15 minutes before program time, I would like to open up the lines so that we can have, you know, um, a discussion. You can share with me what are some of the issues that you might be confronted with, and your community or the region that you dwell in. So crime is on the increase. Again, there is no plan. Every single day, you're either seeing it by way of social media, or you're seeing it before your naked eyes, what is happening out there. But because of crime, there must be a factor that is leading to crime. And what might be the factor? Unemployment. That is the big thing. Unemployment. This regime in office promised 50,000 jobs. And sometimes it is good for us to go back to history, because we would recall that during the 2011 elections, young people were informed that if we are re-elected to government, and I'm talking here about the People's Progressive Party Civic, if we're to be re-elected to government, we will ensure that Linden, 2,500 jobs will be created for young people in Linden. Well, we know that the Lindeners, they were complaining bitterly that not one job was created. So 10 years after, you're coming to tell the nation that you will be creating 50,000 jobs. But you haven't shared with us the plan for the creation of these 50,000 jobs. So you have thousands or hundreds of young people who will be leaving the secondary schools this year, 2021. Many of them, because of circumstances, would want to venture out into the world of work before moving on to university. While there are others who might be in, better standing, in good standing, they will now move on to the University of Guyana or some other college, whether home here or abroad. So where are these jobs to capture those who are leaving school this year? Where are these jobs to capture those who will be graduating from the University of Guyana later this year? Whether next month or just before the year ends. Because we know the number of students leaving the University of Guyana usually be between 25 to 2,500 to close to 3,000. Where are the jobs? We know that in that total sum, you would have those who are already in the employment. But those who are not employed, where are they going to be employed? So, crime is on the increase because our young people cannot find jobs. And we in the opposition, we are not saying that, well, look, what the young people are doing is correct. No. No. Crime does not pay. It doesn't pay. So I want to say to the government, it is time for Guyanese to be provided with the necessary information regarding the crime rate here in our nation. In the National Assembly, my colleague, the Honorable Geeta Chandan Edmond, who shadows Home Affairs, put a series of questions to Mr. Robson Ben. But you know what? The questions are not forthcoming. And this is the impasse. This is what they have been doing to us in the National Assembly. That is where we go to debate and to highlight issues affecting our people in this country. And as a government, it is your responsibility to provide the questions asked by the people's representative, because we have a duty to go back to our constituents and say to them that in Region 10, in this particular area, this is where we have the high rate in crime, and we got to do something. So the MPs, along with the residents in that community, they will be able to work together, and also with the police being on board, to ensure that the crime rate is reduced in that particular community. But that is not being done. So you're asking for the information, you're not getting the information. But when we speak out, when we expose what is happening, the malpractices by this administration, they want to shut us up, they want to bring Trump up charges against us and haul us before the courts. But you know what? We have a responsibility to our people, and no government, no one individual in this administration will shut us up. We will continue to speak truth to power, because, as I said before, we have a responsibility to our people in this country. So crime is on the increase. We're heading towards the Christmas season. I guess the minister responsible for Home Affairs will bring out, some plan, security plan for the Christmas holidays. So let us wait and see what is likely to unfold for the Christmas season. But I want to encourage each and every one of us that we have to be vigilant. We have to be alert, because them boys ain't playing out there. The boys are not playing out there. And I want to say to you young people, crime is not the way to go. Go to school, get an education, get a job, and earn honestly. So we're yet to see a plan by this regime how they're going to tackle and address the crime rate in this country. And let me remind you, we have moved a no confidence motion against Mr. Ben. So we have two motions against two sitting ministers in the government since June month. since June. Since June, we went into a recess on August 9th. And these motions, though tabled, they haven't been placed on the order paper for us to have the debate. So we're out of recess because October 10th was, the vacation ended. So let us see what will happen when the National Assembly, reconvenes. But in every sector in this nation, in every sector, we have major, major challenges. We see what is happening in the agriculture sector. And that's the other point I'm heading to. The discriminatory practices with the flood relief. Many communities, many farmers who were affected are yet to receive, whether it's a 50,000, 100,000, 5 million, whatever sums. But we in the National Assembly approved 10 billion Guyana dollars to help farmers and other persons who were affected by the flood. But to date, nothing. Farmers are crying out. So we got the flood relief saga. We got the COVID saga, the COVID cash grant saga, because many persons, many households still got pink papers in their possession. They still have pink papers in their possessions, or pink slips. But this is what these people are doing. But you're hearing about audit and audit and audit. We were promised audits of the COVID cash grant in October of 2020. It's 1 year. This month, precisely 1 year. And we're yet to see the findings from the Auditor General's office. But when we ask the question, when the government is called out on these infractions, the nation is being told that the person who was dealing with the audit for the cash grant, that person was involved in an accident. Well, the question one will ask is, only one person was doing this audit? They feel that Guyanese are silly. We're not stupid people. Because if you're to conduct an audit, it will not lie in the hands of one individual. You will have a team. You will have a team designated to conduct that audit. So if one person, is no longer involved, then the other members of the team will continue with the task. So I don't know how these people think. They just come up with these wild ideas, these wild comments, and believe that Guyanese will buy into that. As I said before, we're not illiterates. As I said before, we're not mentally retarded. We can analyze and think for ourselves. So you got the COVID cash grant. With all that have been surfacing with regards to the flood relief, Zulfikar came out and said, an audit will be conducted. Well, we're yet to know when. Who will be conducting this audit? And what is the time span for this exercise? is what these people are doing. And you know what? We as Guyanese, we allow these people to do all manner of things to us because we remain silent. Because we feel that these people who are now in government are gods unto Almighty God. They're not gods. They're human beings just like you and I. They're human beings just like you and I. But because of their dictatorial attitudes, people just haul in the corner, see wrong things and not want to say anything. How long can we endure this in our nation? How much longer? And that is why it is you who cause governments to be formed. Because by your mere vote, you cause them to be in office. And it is you, once you withhold your vote, once you withhold your power, which is your vote, those who are sitting there will not be there. And by virtue of them being there, they owe us. They owe us. They owe us. So, they got a discrimination in the COVID cash grant, the discrimination in the flood relief. We noticed that they had also the discrimination handing out of food hampers and all manner of things. The discrimination in the awarding of contracts. That is another thing. Contracts, taxpayers' monies are being used to fund mega contracts in this country. And the procurement laws of this nation, the procurement laws of this nation is being flouted. We would have seen from the time they took office, one sitting minister was able to ensure that contracts were given to a family member. Contracts were given to a family member. The nepotism, the cronyism, the friendism, and all the isms from their playbooks are being played out. Guyanese, how much longer jobs? Just the other day, a young lady said to me, she said, you know, Miss Ferguson, 10 years ago, I was working with an organization. She you know, she revealed it. She revealed everything to me. So therefore, pre-May 2015, she was working with the then government. So now they're back. The girl has lost her job. She was given the marching orders, just like the thousands who were given marching orders. And what is hurting, or what is hurtful, or what is of concern is that she reported to me that she has made several attempts to seek employment in other areas. And to date, she's just one. There are many like her who cannot gain employment in this country. But you got a particular ministry. A particular ministry, you know, the people would complain. You wanna, if it's the Dharamshala. Yes, you go to that particular ministry. That's the complaint you're hearing. They flooded the housing ministry. When we left office, I think the staff complement at the Ministry of Housing was under 300. Now it's probably gone past the 300. Because it's all kinds of people they have in these ministries. Unfit, not qualified, have no experience, have no knowledge of what they're doing, but yet they're holding senior positions in those ministries. Excuse me. So Guyanese, in your own country of birth, you cannot get a job. How unfair is this? How unfair is this? Guyana wasn't created for one set of people. Guyana is Guyanese living here. And by right, we have equal opportunities. Equal opportunities to work in this dear land of ours. I think it's Article 14 of the Constitution, which speaks to the right to work. So don't deny and deprive Guyanese of work. So all the ministries, I heard the Ministry of Legal Affairs recently hired an advisor. A one-time minister has now become an advisor looking at the electoral laws, the reform of the electoral laws. Yeah, yes. So it's jobs for the boys. It's jobs for the boys. So if you're to really conduct an assessment of what is happening across the ministries in the public sector, probably you're seeing more gray hair than black hair, especially at the top ranking. So in the David Granger-led administration, they talk about who is not, they refer to them as, they refer to the elderly people. Oh boy, the name is just slipping me. Well, how David Granger administration had a set of old people. But if you to go to the ministries now, you will see exactly what they're doing. What they're doing. So the discrimination in jobs continue. And I must let you know, yes, corruption is high. And you will hear more of what is happening. You will hear more of what is happening. The corruption practices across the ministries. Across the ministries. Right? I now want to turn my attention to what is happening in the sugar industry. Guys, things no regular there. Things no regular. And we heard on the campaign trail that all the estates, the 4 estates that the David Granger administration closed, that these estates were going to be reopened. Well, we are 1 year, 2 months since this administration is in office, by legal means, that is. And they're yet to show this nation, more so the sugar workers, this plan for the reopening of the estates. And I want to remind our viewers and listeners, closing of estates did not occur under the David Granger-led administration. Sugar is not doing well as it once used to. And we recognize, when we were also in opposition, we recognize that the PPPC government was using the sugar industry, more so the workers, as their electoral tools. So we're going to get them money, pour money down into a black hole, and we're going to get the votes come elections time. So, when we were in government, we were able to transfer close to $60 billion into the sugar industry. Close to $60 billion the David Granger-led administration was able to do. And you know what? The claim is, we don't like sugar workers, that's why we closed the estates. But that's not true. We must remember who closed LBI and who closed the diamond estates. It wasn't the coalition, it wasn't the APNU, it wasn't the AFC, nor the PNC or the WPA. It was the People's Progressive Party Civic under this individual who is now enjoying his third term as president of this nation. But it wouldn't come and tell us that. But it will try to cloud our vision as though the APNU were bad to the sugar workers, or the coalition government was bad to the sugar workers. No. When they came to government in August of 2020, they doled out $60 million. August 2020. September of 2020, the budget was $329.5 billion. Remember, the budget was called an emergency budget. $329.5 billion. Of that $329.5 billion, $5 billion went to Gaisuku. So, $5 billion went to Gaisuku. Then in December of 2020, we had a supplementary paper for 77.4 billion Guyana dollars. And out of this 77.4 billion Guyana dollars, Gaisuku benefited from $4 billion. Then in February of 2020, budget $383.1 billion for the 2021 budget. Out of the $383.1 billion Guyana dollars, the sugar industry enjoyed $2 billion Guyana dollars. Then, just before we went into recess, in June of 2021, another supplementary of $21.3 billion, Gaisuku enjoyed $1.5 billion Guyana dollars. But with all of this, we heard in February, when the workers started to strike for more money, Mr. Third Term came out and said, oh, he gonna make this amount of money available. I think it was 200 million Guyana dollars available to pay the sugar workers. Right? But yet, you had the public servants, you have the police, the soldiers, the teachers, the nurses, all these other categories of employees or workers, they too are asking for increases. So since 2019, they haven't benefited from an increase in wages and salaries for 2020. Well, we don't know what is going to happen for 2021. But whenever the sugar workers wake up and decide that they're going to take to the streets, the God presents himself and say, well, look, we're going to transfer this amount of money to the sugar industry. So, quite recently, we heard about 250,000 to be paid to severed sugar workers. But the impression one will get is that their coalition, because they always say there's 7,000 workers we severed, and that is far from the truth. It was 4,800 plus workers that were retrenched, and they were paid their severance. So I will now play this video so that you, the viewers out there, can hear the facts and the truth. Operator.
Ed, the law is very clear. There has to be severance benefits. There have to be benefits that you give in terms of severance pay, in terms of what pensions have been paid. You got to give back people money. We have to make right with that wrong that was done when you just dismiss people. Don't they have any rights? Don't they have any benefits? And then you not only send them home and they can't work, you refuse to give them the benefits that they're entitled to. So how could they look after their family?
Final severance packages were paid out to redundant sugar workers today. Anara Khan was on the ground at the Wales and Enmore estates. She tells us that the sugar workers who collected their final severance payments are looking forward to improving their lives.
I should have thanked the president, Mr. Ranger, whatever, and Nagamutu, whatever they do for us today. I'm grateful for it beside me and all the other cane cutter.
So, viewers, there you had it. Testimony from one of the sugar workers who expressed gratitude and thanks to Mr. Granger, Moses Nagamutu, and all who made it possible for them to enjoy the severance. So, people are now being told that 250,000 will be paid to severed sugar workers, giving people the impression that the David Granger-led administration did not pay off those workers. Did not pay off those workers. Well, you just heard for yourselves. So, you got bauxite workers who were not employed, who were severed. You got all the 1,001 public servants who were severed. You got workers who were severed from LBI and Diamond Estates, and all other workers who were severed in this nation. They too will be making a demand for 250,000, because you cannot treat one set of people differently and the other set differently. And that is the discriminatory practices I have been speaking of. The inequalities being portrayed by this government. So they have failed the sugar workers, because mind you, They said to the people, we will reopen these factories or the estates, and we will ensure that you are re-employed. So you're 1 year, 2 months into office. You cannot show anything. So in order to avoid probably the wrath of the people coming down on you, you think you can buy the people with money. You think you can buy the people with money. So I'm heading down to program time. But I want to say to you Guyanese, I want to say to you, my viewers out there, Guyana is in a terrible state. Guyana, I don't know where we are going. And the question we all must ask ourselves, is Guyana a real place? Too many wrongs are being committed, especially against one segment of this nation. Yes, they will have the other ethnic groupings, but remember, but these people, the other ethnic groupings will be, in a small minority. So we are in difficult times, and I want to say to you, my Guyanese brothers and sisters, we cannot lose hope. We cannot give up. We have to keep pressing, and we will all come out of this state of confusion, as my colleague Cheryl Duncan will put it. We will come out from this state of confusion. A government that came to power by questionable means cannot sit well, cannot execute their functions or their mandates effectively. And that is why you have the spirit of confusion in every strata of our society. So my brothers and sisters, I want to say to you, Guyana will rise again. Guyana will rise again. And I want to end by saying, COVID is real. Protect yourselves. Protect your families. Protect your loved ones. Ensure you only venture on the outside when it is necessary. And once you have to do that, mask up, wash, sanitize your hands, and watch your distance. I want to thank you, viewers. Time has caught up with us. And I want to say thank you for joining me here this afternoon for this edition of Facing the Nation. I want to say to you, enjoy the remaining of your day. Do have a blessed weekend. And I look forward to you joining me here next week for another program of Facing the Nation. I have been your host, Annette Ferguson. May God bless us May God bless our nation. Thank you very much.